Hi everybody, it's Patrick. Today we're going to try something new. We're going to make pimento cheese. We're not going to clean, obviously I'm going to clean up when I'm done, but we're going to make pimento cheese. I love pimento cheese. I love it a lot. In fact, when I moved to Minnesota in 1999, I moved here at the end of June and I didn't get my apartment until July 1st. So I stayed in like a residence inn for about a week. And the very first time I went to a grocery store, one of the things I asked for was pimento cheese, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Fortunately, now it's a little more common than it was, because it's wonderful, right? But I've always made it. I did buy it, was going to buy it that time because, I was in a hotel, but I've always made it, and I've always loved it. Funny story about this pimento cheese. There is a restaurant in Lexington. It's a restaurant and a cheese shop, and they make the best pimento cheese. And the recipe is very, very secret. So I went there with my mom, and we sort of dissected what was in it, just to kind of get the idea of what the flavors were like. And then I told my friend Vicky, I love my friend Vicky, but she's incredibly creative. She's to die for a cook. But anyway, I told her, and she found this recipe, and then we tweaked it to get this recipe. So this is the recipe. It's my favorite, and from this day forward, I'm going to call it Vicky's Pimento Cheese. So we're going to start. The first thing we're going to put in, which might be a little, I don't know, you may have put it in pimento cheese. It's not super common. In the South, pimento cheese is usually cheese, pimentos, mayonnaise. This has a little more. This is actually a half a cup of cream cheese. And here's the thing I want you to know. This cream cheese is going to have to be room temperature. It needs to be relatively soft, right? So it's a half a cup of cream cheese, and then we're going to add a half a cup of mayonnaise. And the mayonnaise is like crucial because that is a signature pimento cheese ingredient. And if you listen to anyone now, they're going to tell you have to use a particular brand. First of all, it isn't true. Second of all, when I grew up, we always used Hellmann's. So this is Hellmann's, because in my mind, that's what it's supposed to taste like, right? So we're going to mix those two things because we want to kind of blend those up together just a little before we start adding everything else. So we're just going to give them a quick little stir. I'll tell you a little more about pimento cheese. Like in the South, anywhere you go, you have pimento cheese. We had it in school and everywhere, and it's just always been one of my favorite things, and I very much associate it with home. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add all of the other ingredients because we're going to blend those and we're going to put the cheese in last. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you. The first thing we're going to put in is 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, but then 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Then about a half a teaspoon, I'm going to be honest, mine's always a little generous. It's a half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. That's going to go in. You can add pepper to this. Because I go a little heavy on the Worcestershire sauce, I don't always do it. I'm going to taste it at the end and decide. And here's the ingredient you may find weird. It's a teaspoon of sugar. I learned a long time ago, anything that's savory should have a touch of sugar, and anything that's sweet should have a touch of salt. That was a rule of my granny dude, and she was a remarkable cook. So she said it, and we're just going to do it because, first of all, I wouldn't question her. Second of all, I've found over the years she's pretty much always right. Then we're going to add a jar of pimentos, and I've actually drained these. It's 4 ounces. You can buy the 8-ounce jar, and I will tell you most of the time I do because most of the time I double this. It just happens to be right now. I just wanted 1 batch, not 2, so I'm going to go with 4 ounces. So then we're going to blend this together, and we're just going to give it a little stir. And you're going to notice that I'm using the stand mixer for this. There's a really good reason for that. It's better when we add the cheese, which is going to be our final ingredient. And here it goes. This is 2.5 cups. This is cheddar and Swiss. I tend to err a little more cheddar and a little less Swiss. That was kind of like a little less talk, a little more action. Anyway, I tend to err with a little more cheddar, a little less Swiss. But the original recipe was all cheddar. And that was one of the things that I noticed at this restaurant, that they were using more than one kind of cheese. I think you could use anything you want. I think if you wanted hot, you could add pepper jack. I think that'd be wonderful. I think you could do it just cheddar. I think you could do cheddar and American. I think you could do sharp cheddar, mild cheddar. I think you could do smoked, Gouda, whatever. I think it's going to be great no matter what you do, because ultimately it's all of these things together. So then we're going to let it stir, and now we're going to let it stir, or mix, I guess, maybe about a minute or a minute and a half. And the reason is the stand mixer will kind of break it down. If you don't have a stand mixer, you could do it with a handheld mixer, or you can do it with a spoon. If you're going to do it with a spoon or with a spatula, I want you to beat it for 3 or 4 minutes, because you really want to beat it up and kind of really blend it together, and you kind of want to break down the cheese and break down the pimentos and that sort of thing, because it's going to make it a little softer and a little creamier. So that's what we've done. So here it is, and here it is. Let's see how it is. Let's just grab a spoon. Oh my goodness, it's perfect. This doesn't need any pepper. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of pepper to this. You could add chili flakes to this. That would be yummy good. But, I mean, it's sort of great like this. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to reach over here and grab a cracker. But I do have one more pimento cheese story, and it's really funny. There was another place in Lexington. I went to college in Lexington. If you're like, why is everything about Lexington? I went to college in Lexington. And I love pimento cheese. So I would go a lot of places where they had it. And there was this drugstore that was famous for their pimento cheese. And they used really sharp cheddar, but there was always an ingredient I could never quite piece it together. And I tried several times. I could never piece it together. And then I took Granny with me. And if you said anything to them, they'd be like, the secret ingredient, secret recipe, and they never would tell you. And I took Granny with me, and I didn't even tell her, like, oh, this is secret. I just said, oh, they have a great pimento cheese. And she said, well, let's go get a pimento cheese sandwich. We go and we sit down and we bite into it. And she said, well, you know, they put onion juice in this. Like, she just tasted it and knew exactly what it was. And what was funny was, I didn't know you could buy onion juice. I didn't know that was a thing. But that was their secret ingredient. So it was super funny because the woman just like got sour-faced because, you know, Granny had figured it out. But like I told you, she was a great cook. And, you know. So I'm going to put a little pimento cheese on it. Well, I'm going to put a lot of pimento cheese on the cracker because I love it. I love pimento cheese on crackers. It's great stuffed in celery. To be honest, my favorite way to eat it is as a sandwich on white bread, but it gets a little rich. And if I have to reshoot this, I don't want to eat 2 sandwiches of pimento cheese. So I'm going to do it on a cracker. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put the recipe down below. Several of you, I've told you, I need to send you my pimento cheese recipe. Well, here it is. Now you have it. Or no, it's Vicky's pimento cheese recipe. From now on, it's Vicky's pimento cheese recipe. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you make it. I hope you make it and you share it with everybody you love. You know, this would be the perfect thing if like you were cleaning the house and you needed to stop for lunch because it's fast. And I will tell you, put it in the fridge. It's even better tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Oh, I guess I should taste it, right? It's so good. And I know that when you watch cooking videos, everybody takes the tiniest little bite. The reality is, if I tried to bite this in half, it was going to go everywhere. So keep that in mind. Don't use really big crackers, or just use bread. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have a really, really great day. Bye.